Nancy Pelosi's congressional seat is being challenged by a former AOC aide.
In this past election, I think there's this critical mass of voters in America who said they want big sweeping change. You saw that in 2008 with Obama's election, happened in 2016, happened in 2024 again with Trump. And the American people are right to demand change, right? They want radical change because they want their kids' lives to be better than theirs. They don't want to get bankrupted by a health bill. The American dream, which used to be you can buy a house, have a good education, raise a family, that's becoming impossible for a big majority of people. And people want a credible plan to fix that. And they're not seeing it from Washington.
So a little bit about this challenger. Seket Chakrabarti is 39 years old, so he is a solid millennial. That's how old we are now. For reference, Nancy Pelosi will be 85 years old if elected to another term in Congress. She is older than Trump and she is older than Joe Biden. Chakrabarti has about 2,500 followers on Instagram, which is a negligible number for a congressional candidate. Apparently, I was one of those followers. I didn't realize I had already followed him until I started working on this story. But the reason I probably didn't realize it is because he posts even less than I do. He is way more active over on X, where he has about 56,000 followers, so he's connecting with people somewhere. He was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and graduated from Harvard with a degree in computer science. He worked on Wall Street for a bit and then spent several years working in Silicon Valley at various startups. Chakrabarti was one of the founding members of Justice Democrats, along with our very own Cenk Uygur, and his focus was on grassroots campaigning. He also worked on the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign in 2016 as the Director of Organizing Technology. I mentioned that he's a former aide to AOC. He was actually her chief of staff, her first chief of staff, and before that, he was her campaign manager, helping her defeat the long-standing incumbent in her district. Chakrabarti was instrumental in writing the Green New Deal, and in 2019, he resigned from AOC's office to work with New Consensus, an organization that promotes the ideas and strategies of the Green New Deal. And this past Wednesday, he announced that he'll be running for Nancy Pelosi's seat in California's 11th congressional district, the San Francisco area. He posted a 9-slide carousel on Instagram saying, "I've decided to run against Nancy Pelosi to represent San Francisco in Congress. I know some of you might be surprised that Speaker Emeritus Pelosi is running again, but she is, for her 21st term in Congress." And I had to do a double take when I saw that. Her 21st term in Congress. I really don't understand why we don't have term limits on Congress people. I mean, I know why we don't, and it's because they would essentially have to put limits on themselves, which they won't do. But the role of a congressperson was never supposed to be a career. It's an act of service. It's a term. Nancy Pelosi has been in Congress for a year longer than I have been alive. She has been there since 1987. But back to the post, Chakrabarti continued, "Watching Trump and Elon freely unleash chaos in their illegal seizure of government, it's become clear to me that the Democratic Party needs new leadership. I don't understand how DC's Democratic leaders are so paralyzed and unprepared for this moment after living through President Trump's first term and after Trump and Elon told us exactly what they plan to do." And I love that he stated that last part so explicitly, because that's something that Democratic voters are having a hard time wrapping our heads around. We all knew what was in Project 2025. They handed us their game plan, so why has it felt like the Democrats have been outmaneuvered at every turn? I get that there are structural reasons as to why they maybe can't move as fast against things as Elon and Trump are moving, but they haven't inspired a whole lot of confidence that they can form a formidable defense against Trump and his agenda. AOC insists that a lot more is happening behind the scenes than we all realize, and let's hope that's the case, but congressional Democrats need to do more than empathize with the rest of us and the way that we're feeling. If they're outraged with us, thank you for the solidarity, I guess, but we're outraged because we can't do a whole lot about what's happening. We did our part. We elected the Democrats who are currently in Congress. We're speaking out as much as we can. We're protesting in cities across the country, but the Dems who are actually in Congress, they're supposed to be the ones with at least some power to protect the American people against people like Trump and Elon Musk. In the post, Chakrabarti then referenced an interview Pelosi did after Trump's victory, where she said that the Democrats don't need to change anything despite losing to a guy like Trump.
I see in some metropolitan journals and on some TV that we are trying to find our way or unsure, but make no mistake. We know exactly what path we're on. We know exactly what actions we need to take. And while that may take more time than some people want it to take, I respect their impatience. It's a beautiful thing, and it's important to our country.
Thankfully, he disagreed with her position there, and he reminded everyone that Pelosi blocked AOC's bid to chair the House Oversight Committee, the implication there being that she is an obstacle to meaningful change within the Democratic Party to the point that it's hurting younger Americans, which is most Americans because Nancy Pelosi, again, is 84 years old. He called attention to how different things are now from when Pelosi was first elected to Congress. Again, that's in 1987. And he says that Democratic voters are fed up, tired of broken promises, and tired of their elected Democratic officials acting like the Republicans are normal. They are obviously not normal. There's nothing normal about what's happening right now. He also spoke about his professional background and his political background. He invited people to sign up for a Zoom call on his campaign site, and he promised not to spam anyone with breathless, desperate pleas for money, and he's a real one for that. Thank you. Finally, he closed by saying that yes, he's getting an early start on his campaign, but considering how incredibly difficult it is to overturn an incumbent in Congress, especially one as high profile as Nancy Pelosi, who has been serving California's 11th for practically all of her challenger's life, remember he is pushing 40, he needs to get an early start. What's interesting about this race, too, is that even though Nancy Pelosi typically only represents one city in one state, this is a race that the whole country will not only be watching, but will be deeply invested in. Even for those of us, which is most of us, who can't vote for him, there are still ways that people in other districts and other states can support and contribute to his campaign if that's what you choose to do. I'm not telling you to support Chakrabarty, look into him yourself and see how you feel, but I am saying that it would be nice to not have Nancy Pelosi in Congress anymore. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.